Mr. World's most dramatic features are his mountains. Have you ever heard of the Ring of Fire? Put your finger on Alaska and trace the Ring of Fire, a ring of mountains that almost circles the Pacific Ocean. Move down the coasts of North and South America. Find the mountains again in New Zealand, New Guinea, the Philippines, Japan, and Russia.
I made the Ring of Fire. These mountains were formed by fiery volcanic explosions whenever I blew my top, which I still do now and then. But you must agree, my mountains are wonderful. They make differences in climate and direct the flow of water, give you minerals and valuable forests, and certainly make the grandest scenery in the world.
Next to mountains, desert lands seem most prominent on your globe. Turn to Africa and look at the world's largest desert. The Sahara, Arabic for desert, is so big you could put the United States into it and have room left over. Follow the orange band of desert as it stretches across northern Africa as far as Afghanistan. Find the deserts in Xinjiang, Mongolia, Manchuria. As you cross Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Iran, remember that hidden beneath the sand are the world's richest oil deposits. Oil means the land was once green and fertile, supporting animal and human life. In the desert, sudden sandstorms attack caravans and bands of nomads who still wander with their camels, flocks of sheep and goats in search of an oasis. Most desert people live permanently on oases, the cities of the desert, which are often miles wide. Not all deserts are hot. The Gobi Desert, icy cold in winter, is as far north as Wisconsin. South of the Sahara are dry, hot grasslands called savannas, colored yellow-green on your globe. Herds of swift-running animals live in the savanna: antelopes, zebras, giraffes, and lions and other wild beasts who prey upon them. At the equator are the tropical rainforests of the Congo. Teeming with birds, monkeys, and other animal life. Trees grow so tall and close together, they hide the sky, and the ground is covered with a tangle of vines, ferns, and bushes. Hot, humid, and wet, rain falls in some places year-round. Crops grow fast, but farming is hard work because the jungle grows back almost as fast as man clears the land. The most carefree people of the jungle are the pygmies, the famous little people of the Congo who hunt by day and dance and sing far into the night. It's only a short hop on your globe from hot to cold lands. Antarctica is a continent at the South Pole, but let's go to the Arctic at the North Pole, a landlocked sea of floating ice. Today, man has learned to live under the ice. In northern Greenland, the United States has built a modern under-ice city called Camp Century, using atomic energy for heat and power. Otherwise, you'd think only seals and polar bears would live where winter temperatures often plunge to 60 degrees below zero and winds rage over 100 miles an hour. But in the tundra, the pink and white areas bordering the Arctic Ocean, the topsoil thaws in summer and mosses, lichens, and flowering plants grow. The tundra is home to the Laplanders of Europe and to many Eskimos in North America. South of the tundra, in blue-green colors, are the forest of coniferous or cone-bearing trees, which give the world much of its timber and paper pulp. Few people live here, and the howl of the wolf is a common sound. Let's travel south now to the United States with its fertile yellow grasslands and deciduous forests. The most thickly populated parts of North America, Europe, and Asia are the lands where deciduous forests grow. Maples, oaks, birches, all trees that drop their leaves in fall. This land of warm summers and cold winters is where half the Earth's people live, where industry flourishes and there are sounds of cities at work and at play.
And yet, these regions cover only 7% of my land. But I have hidden wealth, enough for all my people, and many more to live in happiness and comfort. Man is working now to conquer my jungles, deserts, and ice caps, make more of my land useful, using nuclear power to discover new resources in my frozen polar regions, oil, coal, and valuable minerals. I've planned it all pretty well.
Yes, you have, Mr. World. The poet William Brighty Rands must have thought so too when he wrote these words. Great, wide, beautiful, wonderful world, with the wonderful water round you curled, and the wonderful grass upon your breast, world, you are beautifully dressed. You friendly earth, how far do you go with wheat fields that nod and rivers that flow, with cities and gardens and cliffs and isles and people upon you for thousands of miles? You are about to hear the actual liftoff of America's first man in space, Alan Shepard. Listen to his voice as he soars miles above the Earth, seeing the world as you see it now with your Replogle true-to-life globe.
All right, liftoff and the clock has started. Yes, sir, reading it loud and clear. Okay, switching to manual pitch. This is okay. What a beautiful view. Cloud cover over Florida.
Yes, the view of the world from space is beautiful, but your view is clearer and more complete. Turn your globe and see the whole panorama of deserts, mountains, forests, ice caps, rivers, and oceans in nature's true colors.
Yes, I am beautiful. Of all the planets in the universe, I am the most handsome. I have rugged mountains capped with snow and ice, casting purple shadows on the valleys below. I have hot, sandy deserts, miles and miles of yellow wheat fields and waving grasslands, dense green forest in the northlands and the tropics. And with all that, I'm pretty wet. 70% of my surface is water. 30% is land and home to over 3 billion people.
Isn't it true, Mr. World, that there are few places even on your land where people can live? I've heard that more than 50% of the Earth's people live on only 7% of your land.
But look at your globe. Every continent except Antarctica has land where people can live and produce food, even on the tiny islands in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And speaking of islands, did you know my smallest continent looks like an island? That's right. It's Australia.
Let's look at Australia, and I'm sure we'll agree with Mr. World. At first glance, it seems little more than a huge desert because its center is orange. This is the second largest desert in the world. But look closer. In the north, there are places with dense tropical jungle drenched from December to March with heavy monsoon rains. Notice the wide yellow belt fringing the desert. Millions of sheep and cattle roam this area, almost half the continent. These are the grazing lands that have made Australia famous as the world's greatest wool producer. Few people live in the desert, the tropics, or even in the ranch country. Country people are so remote from the big cities and from each other that some children go to school by two-way radio.
The highest mountain in Australia is Mount Kosciuszko. It's 7,316 feet high.
That's right, Jane. Some of you have visited our Australian Alps and know that Mount Kosciuszko is close to the border between Victoria and New South Wales.
Some land in New South Wales has a Mediterranean climate, like the lands along the Mediterranean Sea and parts of California. Edward Hargraves, an Australian, prospected for gold in California. He remembered seeing the same kind of land at home, so he returned to Australia and found gold in the hills of New South Wales in 1851. That discovery attracted thousands of settlers. Today, there are over 10 million people in Australia, and most of them live in this small southeastern section near the coast, where there is good soil, pleasant temperatures, and the right amount of rainfall to raise crops.
Doesn't that prove how remarkable I am? In spite of all that desert, jungle, and barren land, the people have used my good land, my resources, to produce great farms, industries, large modern cities.
And they have miles of beautiful beaches and scenic mountains.
Of course, as mountains go, the Australian Alps are scarcely a bulge on my surface. Take your listeners north to see my highest mountains, the Himalayas.
The Himalayas are a large purple area on your globe, one of the most prominent features in Asia. Run your finger over them and see how they form a wall between India and Tibet and reach way into China. Few people live in the mountains, and that's one reason why they make ideal boundaries. Mountains have often protected countries from their enemies, but not always. Even in ancient times, one great general crossed the Alps and marched to the gates of Rome. In the war between Rome and Carthage, Hannibal led an army of men, horses, and elephants from Spain through the Pyrenees, across southern France, and over the Alps into Italy. It was difficult for Hannibal to keep up the courage and purpose of his army.
We'll all die. Let us turn back now, or we'll never see Carthage again. Silence! Let Hannibal speak. To those of you who wish to turn back, I give my permission to go. To those of you who will accompany me, I give my welcome. I will share the rewards with them. For what are these Alps? These mountains do not touch the sky. You will pass over them beneath the sky. We will pass over them.